Hello there everyone and welcome back to Empire Total War with the Imperial Destroyer mod. We're of course playing as the Dutch, and last time around we saw a French attack on Newfoundland. Since then, we are actually at war with Denmark again. They did a surprise attack on Newfoundland. I was actually quite surprised and quite terrified by this because my army had barely gotten back to defend Newfoundland when the Danish struck, and they came in to an undefended port and marched straight up to the castle and attacked it. And they had a complete full stack almost. I think they had 18 units. Luckily for me though, I guess unlucky for the Danish, I guess they didn't brought any provisions on the ship because the force was completely starved. And I mean, some of the units that attacked were single-digit units, like there were 9-8 men for them, and there were only really 2 units that were able to march in. So I think I could have probably defended the castle even without my army marching down. I could have just used the 2 units that would spawn in the castle and defeat the Danish that way. So yeah. Anyways, we're at war with the Danish again. I have been able to increase our religious level. However, it has not changed my religious predicament as of yet. I think we're up to 13 points in religion. And last time I got a check on Spain, they had 15. Could be that they're gaining more. I should be able to outpace them. But, of course, I complete one task and then another presents itself. Like, I am able to avert one disaster and another comes up. In this case, the French forces that we had scouted down at Strasbourg has actually marched to attack. And it looks like they're trying to bypass us, going to the capital rather than trying to attack Brussels. I think, though, that we'll be able to intercept one of these as they march through. The best thing would be defeat them in detail to, if I'm able to intercept one, defeat that one, and then the other one right after. I've also actually been able to recruit 2 new units, so we have the Waldeck infantry to join in the ranks, and they have superior accuracy at 50 points in accuracy compared to 40 of the normal units. They also have higher morale and melee defense. So we'll see if we come to battle there. We're also now at war with Württemberg, which decided to declare war on our ally of Münster. I don't think we are because at war, or I don't think we're allied with Münster anymore. I think the alliance broke right after that. Yeah, for some reason they broke off the alliance right after the war started. But anyways, we've now at war with Württemberg as an extra thing there. Not that I think that... I mean, what it does is it lends itself to an extra kind of hurdle if I would to be going down and attacking this region. However, if I were to go to the offensive on France, I think I would rather go towards Paris. Reason being, of course, that, you know, I make most of my tax money from my capital, where we have a wealth of about 6,800 roughly to be precise. So we compare that about 7,000 wealth to the wealth that is found in Paris, which is 27,000. 20,000 more in wealth. And I just look at how I'm dwarfed. My capital is kind of dwarfed against some of these bigger countries. We've got Stockholm or Sweden up there at 14,000. London, Great Britain at 22,000. And then France at 27. It does make sense though, because what is in Napoleon split up into what is at least 5 regions is an empire just set as a single region for France. Not entirely sure what they same with Spain is kind of one of those odd ones where the entirety of Spain is a single region. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end turn, and we're going to see if we come to battle with the French. Otherwise, we'll have to march out. The problem is, of course, once these guys get in here, they could start to attack and loot some of these places, and they would add to such a destruction to the region that it would cost me tons of money to try and repair that. We've already seen that they've actually attacked Luxembourg, and they completely drained all the health of that region to the point where I basically have to rebuild the building, and that is going to cost me 4,000. And we remember what it was for how long I had the Weaver's Hut here that I didn't repair, because it would going to cost me 8,000. So even though I think that even I could let these guys through and they would die on the walls here, I don't think I would want to let this one through. So we've got 3 regiment of Berkeley. We've got a lot. I don't know why they all come with militia constantly. And then 2 heavy cannons as well, so that's a nasty fight. Also, because Britain is no longer at war with France, France has started to speed up their ship production. I am trying to mitigate it as much as possible, so I've attacked their ports here along the coast, and I've set these guys up to guard so that they won't attack, or say, bring the army up, push out the brig, which is currently attacking the ports. What I'm looking at is hopefully France will gather all the ships here, bring them out so I can fight them, or really so I can deposit a ship at Brest, in which case I would control all French ports to the north here, and they would only be able to recruit ships down here, and then I would have plenty of time seeing them march all the way, or sail, I should say, all the way around to be able to defend against that. But luckily, I should say, with my newfound war again with Denmark, obviously their first sneak attack died at Newfoundland, but I was able to get the Hanoverians and the British to attack them. So currently we've got the British blockading the port over here, so the Danish are getting nothing. Oh, nice. The Danish were only trading through this port to another one of my enemies, so that's blocking that trade. And also the Danish fleet is over here, blocking this port, and also blocking the navy there. So the Danish actually got a third port down here. But this is the thing. Like, I mean, a big trading nation like the Netherlands should really have 2 ports, I'd think, rather than just a single one. I think it's kind of pity that they don't have more, but then again, I guess we have other, maybe bigger concerns in terms of how the map is constructed. With that said, let's go ahead and end turn and see if we can't march ourselves into battle against the French. Right, and we were actually able to intercept the French army. It's 4,900 men under the French army, under René Bigler. I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to say it. Against Adrian Vanderhoef. The cavalry army of the French are still proceeding towards the capital, so they're probably going to have to... It's going to be hard for me to stop them there, unfortunately. But we will be stopping this force, which was the one that I'm more concerned about, since it brings heavy artillery and a load of infantry, which would have been more difficult to repel from a fort. With that said, let's go into battle and send these French back to where they came from. Even though it's an intercept battle, we somehow get to defend at the castle. Well, this has been the thing in many battles, but even as much as I would want to not use the castle, just because maybe make it a bit more even for the enemy, I mean, I would be amiss not to use it, especially given our circumstances. This is my only army, let's remember, and the French have 2. So let's try as much as possible to have as many of my men survive this battle. go ahead and start. I was thinking that the French... Huh, okay. Let's take a look here. So there's lots of cavalry on this side, together with lots of infantry. I did not think they were going to focus that many men over in the flank. That's going to be a problem, isn't it? I'm going to take both of these and turn towards that side with the pikemen protecting that, the cavalry protecting that side. Then, given the enemy's movements, now it's kind of unnecessary that I placed so many troops in the center. I was thinking maybe I would be advancing. I'm gonna move these guys back, and I'm gonna place the new elite Waldeck infantry in the center. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna send this guy off to defend on this side. And not to crowd that side, I'm gonna send these on this side. This regiment's moving straight towards with no sign of stoppage. They're just moving straight for us. Same with the rest of the French army. Not stopping to fire at any point here. Just going straight into the fight. The pikemen were able to stop them there. Looks like we won't be able to press through. Let's try to save the crew there. And I'll block the gap kind of with that unit. Most of the French troops are being forced back here. Now the dragoons are opening fire. Not entirely sure why it's lagging so much. I'm gonna place all three in order like that. I think the AI is doing some funny business somewhere. Yet another French attack over here by their Berkeley regiment. I think those guys are Irish, right? Or am I mistaken in saying that those guys are Irish? We'll have to move on those dragoons. For some reason, dragoons are so super strong in this mod. I don't know why they decided to make dragoons that strong. What unit? Oh, I thought it was one of my units running after the... It's actually not going too well over there. The cavalry attack over there seemed to have worked out. Yeah, it's probably this unit, whatever they were doing, that were causing the problem. I mean, right now it doesn't look like they will be able to force their way into the castle. I'm gonna send this reserve unit out then through the wall. Right, we were able to kill off those guys. I wanna remain a heavy presence on this side just because there's 3 cavalry regiments. Here comes another cavalry regiment, straight kind of out of nowhere, somehow being able to traverse most of the front line without getting shot. However, once they actually reach the line here, support from the wall and so on is able to send them off. We're able to send those guys off. I want to disengage the cavalry there as soon as possible. We should go ahead and make sure the pike regiment is actually wavering against the Berkeley regiment and is now even giving way to them. The pikemen are retreating. We just took a cannon shot right there by the cannon. The Dutch light infantry is getting surrounded, but as soon as this one opens fire, they will clean that flank off. And now when the reinforcement arriving over here, what I'll do is I'll march as close as I dare. We'll ready ourselves to give them a volley as the cavalry leaves, and we'll absolutely murder them. Right now I have set up fire from both sides there, so I'm gonna take this regiment, pull them back through this area, and let the 2 French units get massacred. I think we dare even go a little bit closer. I would think the French regiment be tired by this point. My cavalry regiment has lost about 50 men, but the regiment they're fighting has almost lost everyone. Right, the cavalry regiment will now retire, and as soon as they do, the enemy unit is broken. Huh. Oh, we've got enemies on the horizon. Just coming off the side of the hill. That cavalry charge, we won't be able to stop that. And it's going to go straight into this regiment, unfortunately, when they've got their backs turned against them. Luckily, their charge was kind of stopped. They weren't able to break through and break up the unit as I thought they might be able to do. Let's move on surrounding them. Let's have the cavalry take the high ground. Then take a look along the line. It looks fine. What I should do is I should take the hill here. What kind of cavalry it is? It's dragoons. It's all dragoons. Obviously, it's all dragoons. We should move on, take the high ground and move to attack them. Looks like they're slowly actually moving to attack us. Cavalry onto the flank. With pikemen supporting the center. With the pikeman regiment being sent off in this battle, it could be that the age of the pikes are done for, as they were defeated now by the Berkeley regiment, and they might not have any useful. They've outlived the usefulness in this point. Once this cavalry regiment is destroyed, which it kind of looks like it's about to become. Where are they going? I'll send my own cavalry regiment to stop them. Because we should have these 3 regiments moved onto the hill and attack towards the cannon down there and so on. And then these 3 regiments should join in the attack towards that artillery piece right there. This attack is now ready to commence. I'm gonna march as close as I can. And then I'm gonna close with the cavalry to end them. Yeah, enemy cavalry is now sent off. These 3 regiments will take control of the hill, while these 3 will advance that way. Right, here comes the advance. The units on the side should move in, or turn in a bit towards the enemy. Kinda sounds like a charge. I lowered my units to charge. And as that unit starts to fight, I'll move the musketeers forward. And there's no point in having these guys behind there now. We'll send them forwards too. Oh, what's this? Cavalry regiment coming in. Order an attack there. Oh, my regiment, I'm pretty sure we're shooting down our own regiment there, unfortunately. Although about half of the regiment actually makes it out, so I think that's okay. French regiment is broken down, same with the French cavalry regiment. Now it's only these guys in the corner. Concentrate on them. Kind of unnecessary to send 3 regiments that way. The crap did you just shoot through the friendly regiment? We'll just have 1 march on these. And at this point, I mean, the cannons needs to hold fire instead. it's so easy to destroy cavalry regiments coming under fire, but in this mod it's quite difficult, and then also the enemy cavalry is super accurate as well. Hold your fire. Let's not shoot down our own pikemen. Same time the general is fighting this unit. We'll form them more into a square. Huh, this fight is dragging on a lot longer than I thought. Not that I think there will be a problem there in the long run. Let's see, yeah, well, the pikeman is still quite useful in taking out cavalry. The enemy general decides to ride in front of the two regiments here. Not entirely sure what his plan is. Oh, this cavalry regiment's back. There we go, enemy general's dead. Now we can concentrate on what's left over in this area. So we'll have everyone, including the cavalry, moving that way to join the troops on the hill. Didn't I tell these guys to hold fire? Just as I say that, they actually perform a pretty good hit on this French unit. Let's see, are the French about to... he's still going up to fire the gun. No, he decides it's probably better to run. And I would probably think so too. There's a few units here that lost a lot of men. We might keep them in reserve instead. And then we've got this larger one coming in as well, protecting the right. Cavalry. Both units are still active, but we lost about half the troops out of those units. Make your way over there. A single cavalry or artilleryman survived out of that. We can move forward to the point where we can start to shoot at the cannon, and maybe that will attract the enemy's cavalry to charge us. It's gentleman cavalry, so it's not the dragoon bastards that we normally face. Could that trigger them into attack? No, but it seems to trigger them into a waver, which leads to them being broken, and the battle is won. The French are retreating. We were victorious at the Battle of Brussels. As a result of that battle, we ended up losing 1,200 men out of our 5,200 men army. And the enemy managed to lose, out of their almost 5,000 men, managed to lose 3,600, with about 1,200 men left. Highest kills goes to one of the new elite units, the Waldeck infantry. Managed to only lose 21 men while killing 630. Then Dutch infantry, regiment of horse, and so on as we go down the list. Once again, somehow, I don't know how, but the general apparently managed to kill one as the enemy retreated. Not entirely sure how that happened. But there we have it. We destroyed that French army. Now we just need to deal with the other one before it gets to the capital. And here is the situation we're looking at right now. So we got the French army that we just defeated retreating back. Looks like they're going to consolidate around Luxembourg. The other army stationed just at the edge of the forest, ready to pounce, either to move in to Netherlands or to attack some of the new holdings in Flanders. Also, the Spanish forces turned up over there, so they're hiding in that marshy. I imagine it's marshy. Yeah, it's kind of marshy. There's some rivers there. Also, an event that happened was that the Austrians are now at war with the Ottoman Empire. They're also at war with the Knights of St. John. Whatever the hell they are. I guess that, yeah, this is the Knights of St. John. And not only that, but basically everyone left alliances with Austria. So, I mean, they're on their own, more or less, against the Ottomans, I think. No, quite a few joined them in the war, but there was tons of them leaving. Like the Russians, for instance, did not join the alliance, and there was a number of others who didn't join in their alliance against the Ottoman Empire. Hopefully this might lead to Ottomans trying to sign a peace with us, because they get absolutely crushed. Worst case scenario is that the Ottomans gain more territory in Europe, which would be bad. Put it into treasury, conspiracy, and yes, now we can see here our religious level is up to 13, religious resistance is 7. And here we've got the buildings as we're building out. Not all of them are listed here though, I note, because at this point I have more than 3. But yeah, we've got theatre, pleasure garden, and a bawdy house, leaving us at level 13 at the moment, but hopefully that will be gained even more. Sure, we'll hold a lottery. So yes, the French are building quite the force here. I note that this cannon, I imagine that is going to be rather deadly. It's got a high accuracy, and those shells, it's going to smash through. So I think that's going to probably be a pretty important thing that's going to come in the future wars. So I have started building a grand arsenal. I've also started the building on the final building towards the presidential palace. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some units that were quite broken down in this battle, basically the cavalry and the pikemen, but everyone else is going to march out and take on this cavalry army. Let's see. Yeah, the province even stays happy, even with that. Now, since it's all cavalry, it's probably going to be a pretty shit fight. But, let's have at it, shall we? And so the battle is off. It looks like we've got a smaller attack by the French done on my right flank. I've sent the smallest one of my units to take up position in this kind of factory building, while we've got then gentleman cavalry making an attempt here on our most right flank. What my line consists of is 2 units in front with 1 in the back. Oh, it looks like we've got kind of a massive movement over here. It's not actually a super good position there. We would actually want to hold a little bit further back. Okay, they're moving to flank. This is what you bring the reserve units. So we got fire coming out of the house, and it's stopping some of the fighting. Okay, we got massive attacks going on this side now. One of my cannons can fire canister, so I'll set that to fire canister. I was afraid they were actually gonna go ahead and do a full frontal charge on that side, but looks like they're moving back. They're kind of just testing our willingness to defend, I guess. I'm not sure. Oh, looks like they're pulling off the attack now. Problem is there's just too many of them, I guess. Without support, that side is gonna fall.
It looks fine on this side, so I'm gonna detach this unit to immediately come to the aid on this side. And yeah, it looks fine on this side, so I'm gonna detach 2 units. Oh, they're attacking the general. They're pushing through to attack my general. And they're getting my cannons as well. Could you please not fire? French cavalry units are actually breaking up here. Even with them being able to sort of force their way through. Actually, hold fire. Why aren't... I forgot to tell these guys to fire at will. Come on, please fire still, even though they're attacking you. This unit up... There we go, that's what I want to see. Can we get some fire going over on this side? Actually, it might be better just to charge in. Now this unit's gone. Both units should charge their way towards that side. Get back on the cannon. Right, with this, I'm gonna pull back. Because the problem side is this side. Oh! This house is now being attacked by multiple French units. Which is kind of a why can't I say catastrophe all of a sudden? Right, most of the French cavalry units have been seen off. These guys riding straight into fire. I will open fire on our own house at this point. Now I'm gonna order these guys to leave the house at some point here. But not just yet. I think we should actually send regiments over there. I've got plenty of regiments. I should send regiments to join in the fight. Rather than trying to break the house down. I've got plenty of regiments now freed up after the fighting. So we should now take steps to trying to relieve the defenders. Send troops forward to attack over there. There's only 100 defenders left. We're gonna surround the house. Send everyone all around it. And then, yeah, very much high time to hold fire here. And not try to break the house down. What if I tell them to all shoot on that? Now the second one is coming in. I was thinking I could, since the houses seem to be split. Oh, it's split in 4 parts. So if I continue to fire, I'll be crushing this part of the house. Didn't I order you not to fire? I still decided to fire and crush part of the house. That seemed to have been enough. I guess the French realized, like, what the crap? The Dutch are even gonna shoot on their own just to make a, like, to make sure that we lose. Right, they're even gonna try and break down their own house with their troops still inside. These Dutchmen are mad. Mad, I tell you. Do you want to organize yourself inside the house and start shooting out the window at that one silly general riding around? I implore you, General whatever, to leave this area at once before we are forced to gun you down. I'm gonna order the artillery to fire on you. Just because you're so silly. Yeah, it's high time that you leave. There we go. Right. You couldn't just leave, could you? And now be shooting at all the... it's kind of like a clown car. Just it's French militia that's coming out of the house instead. You know what? Even though the fighting seemed like the French were gonna win, now that I look inside the house, there is so many more white coats everywhere than there are Dutch blue. But then, of course, I have a proper regiment inside, and they sent in militia regiments. But there we have it, the second battle. We won that one as well. No surprise. And our area is safe for now, at least. Here's the result of that battle. I deployed around 4,000 men, where I lost 700. Compared to the enemy, which deployed 2,500 roughly and lost 2,500 men, still remain on the field. Highest kills goes to the unit I think that was actually sent. Yeah, that was the unit that was sent into the house is actually the one that killed the most. So most of the unit that killed the most in this battle, which is even more almost than the two below it. Actually, they killed so many, and it was all through melee in that house. Quite spectacular. The French force still remains, and I would want to move after them and destroy them, but hopefully we'll be able to intercept and destroy them. It's probably going to be quite costly. It's going to cost 2,000 just to repair those units. 3,700 to get these units back in order. War is very expensive, but now the French have been taken down so much. I mean, if I could, peace would be quite preferable at this point. They're not too unhappy with me still after all this. France only has minus 36. Huh. What about a white peace? What, you have... What? There's plenty. You have fought very well through all these battles. I think it's high time that we sign peace. Clearly not. What if I pay you? I mean, I imagine it's going to be just like with Denmark. They're going to just turn around and declare war on me again. We'll have to... absolutely crush them to make sure that we get a permanent peace. But there we have it anyways. We have seen off the French assault on Dutch Flanders. And with that I'll say as I always say, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!